All right, guys, today we're going to do another issue of Icon. This is issue number 8 from Milestone DC Comics, and this is basically the origin of Icon, but also not really. I'm going to explain why, and stick around and we'll see if it's good or not. I have something to say about that, and it means mostly some kind of a criticism. All right, so we dive in, and let me look at this. Look at this. Isn't this good looking? Isn't this gorgeous? Right? I love this. This with the very over the top looking cape looks great. I love the backgrounds. And Mike, one of my subscribers, told me that he also very liked the colors because it reminds him of Malibu comics, that owned by Marvel. It has a similar color palette, which I agree. And I wish we go back to this kind of stuff. It's nice. Personal opinions, of course. So we see here Raquel on the porch, and her name is Raquel Irvin, and she's writing a book. Call it Icon, right? And then we see Icon with this gigantic cape landing, and they are meeting each other. And he says, "Hey, come in," and he says, "I have a few things to attend to. I'm coming right back." All right, so. So what's gonna happen here in this pages is that we see basically a recap of what happened in the first 7 issues, mostly. That she's 15 years old, that she did some weird, stupid things, and that her boyfriend Noble talked her into doing criminal stuff, going to a rich lawyer, robbing him, etc., and making some money. Of course, that went wrong. Noble, panicked and shoots, Icon. They don't know that it's Icon, but then he reveals himself that he can fly. Augustus Freeman, that's his real name. His human name. And then she also draws him, right? Because he was, she says, "I saw him fly and I saw a whole new world." All right. She convinced Mr. Freeman that he could be a superhero. So, and also he made the costume, like the drawings, and give her some kind of a special belt that redirects and stores inertia. And she practiced. And then, becoming a full-fledged teen somewhat. They're revealing themselves and then also meeting up with the Blood Syndicate. We all know that. Okay, but the point of this book is that Julius here wants to convince Raquel here that he is a being from another planet, and she doesn't believe that, right? So she says, "You really going to tell me the truth about your powers and stuff?" He says, "I already have." "What? That stupid story about you being 150-year-old stranded space alien?" So he says, "Well, I'm going to show you. Follow me." All right, so he goes down in this stairs, and then Julius says what happened on the ship. That somehow things got wrong, out of control, fire rages, everything is, collapsing, and that he, tried to do the right thing and help people as much as he can, right? And also work with some kind of a police officer that looks something that we have seen before in this issue. He spoke, if I remember correctly, a couple of issues ago, or maybe last issue or the issue before that. And so these two know each other, and I believe this guy also survived. But then he says, "Eventually there was nothing else I could do. I entered a life pod and escaped instant before the Starliner exploded," which makes this whole scene not really relevant because everyone dies, right? Yeah, so that was a little bit weird. I had hope maybe it was, maybe other people survived, or maybe we're going to find out, that they... he rescued them and then a couple of people survived, but we don't know. But still, it's a little bit weird. Anyway, the life pod, though damaged, was able to locate the nearest habitable planet and take me there. And that's how I became stranded on Earth. So he opened some kind of a door here with his own powers, and he's incredibly strong, right? And so... then he says something in his own language. He says, "The light will not harm your eyes. Will not harm you. Your eyes will adjust momentarily." And then she's being convinced that he came from outer space. And I really like this. I like this technology, this look, the details. Very well, nice done. And yeah, Raquel is. I mean, this could be still a scam, right? I mean, somebody could just put this in a garage and says, "Hey, I'm a space alien." But okay, let's go with it. So he says that the life pod faster than light drive is damaged, and communications devices likely inoperable. And I hope he can, fix it. But this world's technology is not there, so and he needs to reserve the power for eventually escaping. But and he only uses for crucial moments. And so he says to Raquel, "Ask me what you wish to know." He said, you said the ship changed you to make you look like us. What did you look like before? Kermit the Frog with a better profile." Okay, that made me chuckle a little bit. And she says, "Well, come on, Icon, seriously." "I am serious. In any case, in my culture, our physical appearance is not an issue. Your world is very immature in this regard." And so she says, "Tell me about your life before." So he explains that he's a member of a race of the Cooperative, an association of inhabitants of nearly, let's see, that would be 10,000 civilized planets with almost as many members raised. So I believe Star Trek, there's a word for it, like, from the world like Star Trek, when United Planets, I believe that's how you say it, if I remember correctly, from the TV show, that a lot of planets, aligned with one vision with a lot of races. So he says, by human standards, our society is utopian, which is not to say we are without complaints. However, since the creation of the unlimited matter fabrication, those complaints are minor. And he basically explains that he is some kind of a mediator, because his people are, philosophers, scientists, all those people, right? And he's settling disputes. So he says, "You were a lawyer? I was a meditator. Our charge is to be just, not to be an advocate for one side or other. We try to find solutions that maximize gain for society as a whole while minimizing loss to individual complaints." So you're walking King of Solomon, huh? Admittedly, my work is more art than science, but disputes are few. But then he stops talking, and then he says, "I want to go home." Okay, I like that, that he is, still lost in this world. But then we have Noble banging on the door of his, Raquel's home. So her mother is opening up, and he says, "I'm sorry, Mr. Irving, I got to see your daughter while she is, complaining about him." And I said, "Don't you have any manners, pounding on my door?" "Raquel isn't here. I'm late for work. Can you give her a message? Surely, if it'll get you out of my way. Tell her that the father of a child came to see her." she was not prepared for that, because, well, Raquel didn't tell her mother. I think this is probably the most interesting of this book. Now, I'll tell you why I say that, but before we do that, we're going to complete the story first. And she talks about the belt. Is this some kind of an alien force field or something from space? So Icon says that it's some kind of it's an inertial winder. It protects the wearer from rapid acceleration or deceleration, and that hurts is a special one, right? So he says, "Hey, we spent enough here. Let's shut it down and go home, and you can rest. I can you tell the rest in my studies." All right. So he does that. Raquel, at the end of the day, recaps again, basically what we already, well, for the most part, already know from Icon, that he was, landed in 1839, that he was raised in a slave in a cotton plantation, and, freeing slaves, escaped to the States of Canada. He fought to the Union during the Civil War, and he graduated from Fisk University, becoming, studying law practice. So a little bit more dripping of his background. Also that he is, marrying a woman. They lived in France. He fought in the World War. And then when his, wife died, he faked his own death several times, always returning as his son, which is smart. And his lifespans, the breadth of an American experience, the things he's seen, the things he knows. And she writes it all down. And I think, is that smart? Right? I mean, what if someone comes and steals that book, right? And she says, "Hey, Icon, Hey, you scared me to death. Nah, Rocket, you got me confused with somebody else. They call me Holocaust. It looks great. I mean, look at this guy. It looks really powerful and dangerous. I don't know if he's an ally. Probably not. I mean, from the looks of it. But still. So, why do I think that Raquel's, story about her being pregnant as a 15-year-old is the most interesting in this book? Well, that's because we already know what happened to Icon. I mean, through issue 1 to 7, there is, a lot of images and, explanations how he got here. And we've seen his origin. We see that he fought, in the wars, and that he, became part of the law here in the United States. What I like to see mostly is, where he comes from, what his world would look like, how he came to be. Why was he there on the Star Cruiser? Was he on a vacation? Did he have family? Right? Stuff like that. But we don't see it. We only know, we'll see what we already know, which I think this is a missed opportunity, right? Maybe he could talk about this guy already, because if this is the same guy that we already seen in this book. So yeah, it would have been nice if we are seeing a little bit more of his, his world where everything is united and him settling disputes, giving him a little bit more of a better background instead of, telling us and then only show what we already know. So like I said, missed opportunity. I think this is, when it comes to Icon books, is the weakest so far. It's not bad, but still, you could have done so much more with this issue. But yeah, we're going to see a little bit more action, I believe, in issue number 9 that we're going to tackle. So guys, this is my review of Icon. Let me know in the comments, leave a like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and all that YouTube jazz. And I see you next time. Bye-bye.